we'll start. Okay. Now we're gonna go back to the projects. Okay. What is my brother doing? I wonder what he's doing.
All right, welcome everybody back
to Hot Marriage, Cool Parents.
That's my announcer voice. Welcome to Hot Marriage, Cool Parents.
You used to have an announcer voice on, remember, in the beginning of the podcast? And I'd be like, Doug, you got your announcer voice on.
Doug, talk regular. It's like, I think I am talking regular.
But you would be like, welcome back to Hot Marriage, Cool Parents.
I was auditioning for anybody out there that needs a nasally spokesman. I'm available.
And I hired you right on the spot. Oh, welcome back to everyone who's listening. I'm your host, Jamie Otis Hehner.
And I'm Douglas Hehner. No Otis in there.
I keep trying to convince him that he should add an Otis in there, but he's yet to listen to me.
Yeah,
so.
Otis was my very first dog's name when I was a kid.
Not for nothing.
That's kind of fate, I guess.
I'm not even kidding. I genuinely think there's something to that. Like, what are the chances that A, you marry a stranger, and B, that stranger actually had a dog?
Yeah. I mean, of all the last names that you could have picked, you picked Otis.
I didn't pick Otis.
Oh, that's right. Well, yeah, I guess
my mom did. It wasn't my dad, which that's a few episodes back.
Yes.
I got my last name not from my father. I didn't know my father. And speaking of that, Doug, last night I had a dream about my father. So I met my father, geez, listen to me.
Yeah. Well, we should kind of backpedal. So if anybody is new to Hot Marriage, Cool Parents, Jamie was searching pretty much her whole life to find out who her real father was.
I mean, it was my whole life.
Yeah.
For 33 years.
You went through how many paternity tests?
I thought 4, but then I talked to my mom and she said that was actually 5. And I was like, okay, so, I mean, I was young when it
sounds
happened.
like a Maury Povich.
I know it really does. But the only one that I remember, I mean, I went through a lot of paternity tests because my mom was on welfare. And so, and like rightfully so, she had 5 kids. And I just there's no shame to being on welfare if you ask me. But in any case, when you're on welfare, they make you find the father for child support. And I didn't have a name for the father on my birth certificate. So
is there more? So for child support though, would finding out who your father was, that would give your mom a claim to child support, or is there more of a benefit from the state?
It's definitely a more benefit from the state. My mom wouldn't really even see it because first of all, it's not like my father had a ton of money, whoever he was. And so, but they would just get a little bit recouped from giving my mom food stamps and cash to like support our family. I mean, we had rent assistance. We literally lived off the government, which not for nothing, but some people think that that's, people have all sorts of different opinions about that. But for me, that is a system that worked so well because now I am paying taxes and I am paying back probably far more than my mom ever even received because I have worked really, really hard to like get to where I'm at. And so
you don't realize how necessary it is though. I mean, that was being spent on, you have 3 sisters and a brother.
Yeah, exactly. And my mom, bless her heart, she had 0 support and was with a man who was in and out of jail abusing her. And so there's a lot of, controversy about how much money we pay in taxes and all that jazz. But for me, I am happy to pay. Of course, I don't want to pay extra in taxes. No one wants to. But I am happy to pay every single dime because I know that there is a child out there who's probably living off of food stamps. And one day, maybe their mom won't ever be able to break that cycle because she has maybe like my mother had 0 support, was with the man who was beating her. She had these 5 kids and could barely, at least we weren't in foster care,
Yeah.
I mean, she tried her
or
best.
homeless. Really.
Well, there were a couple times. There were a couple times.
Almost.
But anyways, we will skip that part. But what I'm saying though, is that for those of us who have to pay thousands of dollars in taxes, I just hope that, that money is truly going. I was a product of the system and it is truly going to children who need it and their parents who need it. And not every single one of those children are just going to follow the cycle.
Right.
And so, it's hard to, of course, pay our taxes, but it's good to know that you're actually helping someone who, it's not all just like, I guess it goes elsewhere too, but I always just envision I'm helping a child. Anyways, how do we got on that topic? I don't know. Oh, because my dream.
Going back to seeing your dad in your dream.
Yes. So last night I had this dream that my mom and also I haven't even talked to my mom. It's a long story. If you follow, me on social media, then you probably know that we have a bit of a different relationship. And, if you listen to the podcast, we're very, very open and like far more transparent on here because it's just easier to be. You can have so much time to be able to talk. But my mom and I have a tough relationship. But last night I had a dream about my mom, and she came to me and she said, we just found out your father is alive. So backpedaling again, although I'm sure if you're listening, you probably know the story, but I didn't know my father. I had many, many paternity tests. They all came out negative. And then when I was 33, and actually before I was 33, when I was like in my 20s as a as a nurse, I saw the ad on TV for 23andMe, which is like, find missing relatives, find out about your history.
There's Ancestry or Ancestor.com and then 23andMe.
Yeah, those are the two prominent ones. And so I did 23andMe and tried finding the match. I mean, this isn't necessarily the cheapest test. And so I felt like I was just going to try the one. But if that commercial would have been the Ancestry commercial, because after I had Henley, I ended up investing in the Ancestry because I was like, I just want to know who my father is so badly. And I just could never let it go. And here I am like 32 at the point, I think. Yeah. And just couldn't let it go. And so then I saw the Ancestry commercial and decided to do these commercials. They really get me. But
back when people actually watched commercials.
I know. Well, back when we watched cable TV, I haven't watched cable TV in so long. But anyways, I saw the Ancestry one, decided to do that. The 23andMe, obviously nothing ever amounted from it. But the Ancestry one, I got all of these different results. And one was like either an aunt or a cousin, and it's the first name was Luann. And so I skipped out reaching to her because I felt like, oh, that's my cousin Luann from my mom's side. I mean, how many Luann? I don't know any Luanns. The only Luann I know is my cousin Luann. And so I was like, oh, that's got to be her. And her last name, well, I don't want to share their last names just for their privacy, but their last names are very, very similar. And so it was just very, very, so I just was like, oh, that's my cousin. Okay, moving on to the next person below the list. And so I feel like God, for whatever reason, this part I could cry about because, sometimes you're given things in life that you don't understand. And this is something I do not understand. For some reason, God did not want me to know my father, because if that 23andMe commercial would have been Ancestry, I would have met my dad before he died. If I would have reached out to my Aunt Luann, who is my dad's sister, I probably would have had a chance to talk to him just briefly before he died. And really all I ever wanted in life was to just talk to him briefly. And the truth of the matter is ever since I was a child, I was very, very scared that one day I would find my father. Well, I doubted that I would ever find him, unfortunately. And that's not good to put out into the universe. But I also was so scared that he would have, lady, I know.
Come on.
Me too, lady. You're making us look like amateurs barking.
Yeah, really. There's nothing out there.
But you know that we are very, I guess, unprofessional.
Usually Jamie's either breastfeeding or we have our kids telling him to be quiet. Not
going to lie, if you're watching this on YouTube, then you'll see that I'm wearing a sweater because I did not put a bra on. And I was like, no one wants to see these saggy baggies on the behind the scenes video.
Except for me.
Except for my husband. Luckily, he still likes them. But I was like, let me just, instead of putting a bra on, I'll just throw on a cover-up sweater. And that's what I did. It's 1,000,000
degrees in here. Jamie's in a sweater.
It's not that hot. But anyways, so back to the story before Lady so rudely interrupted us. Lady girl. She's our guard dog. But yeah, so where was I at, Doug? What was I saying?
Ancestry.com, and about how you you just wanted to speak with him.
Yeah.
And just wanted to know who he was.
Yeah. And so needless to say, I didn't get the chance to ever talk to him because he had died just like 2 months. I think it was like 2.5 months precisely.
Yeah.
Prior to me finding out who he was. And
so. And well, to round out where you were going with that. So your cousin, the name Luann, when you look back at Ancestry, you realize that this Luann had a different name than your cousin.
Well, not that's not how it happened, though. I don't know if you remember, but I already shared, I think, this on the podcast way back, and we cover this in depth if you really want to hear about it. I wish I knew exactly which episode, but it's definitely labeled in the title if you wanted to go back and listen. But it wasn't that. I reached out to my cousin Luann, and I said, hey, because I was just getting dead end after dead end after dead end with these other people that I was reaching out to. And so then I reached out to my cousin. I said, said, "Are you on Ancestry?" Because I realized the name didn't exactly match up, but I was like, well, I still
maybe
think
it was a
could be
mistake
her.
or something. Yeah.
And she's like, "No, I'm not. Why should I be? Like, what's going on over there?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh." And I just about like I just remember like even now it gives me chills and like when I get like weak almost, because I'm like, that means that's my dad's side. And that means I found someone.
It was a significant match in terms of probability.
Yeah. And so fast forward, my Aunt Luann is, why do I feel so emotional today? I feel like,
well, turns out that Aunt Luann is so paramount to this process and to understanding your dad's side of the family, because like you said, by the time you found out and reached out through email, you had found out also that your dad had passed away not too long ago, or not too long before you figured it out.
Which of course is strange for this random child that is claiming to be his child, because of course if my dad had a business, and so that comes with a slew of, why is this girl reaching out now? You know, like he just died, and so now she claims to be his daughter, and you know, what does she want, kind of thing. But I didn't even, oddly, I was like blinded to that. I had just been searching for so long that I didn't even consider that. Which,
well, it's not even like you, I mean, why would you even think of that? You know, like you didn't know who he was. I
had no idea he had a business. I had zero, like I knew nothing about the man, but I was just so excited to finally find my roots. And there's something to be said for that. But what I wanted to say about my Aunt Luann is that she really like stuck up for me. And now that it's been a couple years that I've known, I mean, now that looking back, I'm like, wow, this woman really went to bat for me, because
especially within their side of the family.
And like, just like trusting that I'm not just an awful, vicious person. We had some very candid conversations about what my mom claimed about my father. And then later when I found him, she then claimed, some other horrid things about my father. And so I just candidly said that to my aunt, like, do you think that could have been my father? Like, I don't know.
Well, I think your aunt brought it up too, where she said, was your mom in the drug scene at the time?
Yeah. And of course, my mom kind of was, and my dad, it seems like he was. But needless to say, all of that to just kind of cover the fact that I had this dream last night, and I don't ever dream about my father or my mom really. And I had a dream about my mom saying to me that my father was still alive and they actually found him and he actually wasn't dead, and that I get to meet him, and and then
wow,
yeah,
I wonder what that means.
I don't even know. But total random side note, but I hadn't had a chance to talk to you yet, and I was like wanting to tell you, because I feel like I don't know what that means, but it was just, I guess it's just probably my internal longing to just meet my father, but that's not going to happen, at least not here on earth. So,
well, your dad's dad has been unbelievably accepting of us and our family, and accepting of Henley and Hendrix, which is really everything that we could have asked for. You asked for nothing from their family. You just wanted to know them, and they've been more than accommodating every single time that we've been there, reached out. I mean, it's really, they're a special side.
Yeah, it's amazing to me for sure to see a little bit more of my roots, because I've always known that I'm a little different than my mom, at least, and I'm like, where I must get these like traits from someone, and not that I'm different. My mom, she just had no support. I know my mom would have soared if she would have had more support in her life. But, and if she didn't like succumb to the drugs,
Well, I remember our wedding, where I met you and your family all at the same time for the first time at our wedding.
Oh boy, where are you going?
No. And I just remember you being so different from everybody in your family, without knowing the story. First of all, you and your sisters all look completely different.
Well, we all have different dads.
Well, that too. But you share some features with your oldest sister. But I think that's the closest. I like your foreheads.
What?
Yeah, your foreheads are kind of the same. I don't know. That's
hiding my forehead. I feel like I have a receding
No, she's got a
hairline.
great forehead. So do you.
Oh, thank you.
But also when for the optics of it, it was almost like your mom and then your uncle, who I originally thought was your dad. Turns out
Because he was the only man.
Yeah, your
that
Uncle
age
Dave.
range.
I just remember them talking about you almost like they didn't know you. They were just trying to like put some label on you. You were this Bible reading, wonderful person, which, I mean, you are a wonderful person, and
I do read the Bible.
You are very faithful to your faith. But I just remember going through and you just being so different with the way you acted, your drive, and everything else from your family. I mean, for someone that grew up in that way, for you to recognize that you're in a toxic environment, and if you stay there, there's only a few things that could possibly happen if you don't change your environment, where it's either you get pregnant and drop out of school, you find someone that's really not, you find a partner that's really not nice to you, and the cycle continues and continues and continues. You knew you wanted to get out of there, and you had this drive to, okay, well, what's my best chance to get out of this place? And nursing, which you were driven to, not a lot of people can do that on their own. I mean, you genuinely had nobody.
I know. It's wild to look
pretty
back
incredible.
at. And then I wonder like why I struggle so much now, because when I was younger, I had no money. I also had no support, literally no support. I had my younger siblings who lived with me as my support system, because that's all I had. Like my aunt, my whole family just thought we were going to become like washed up, like drug addicts on the system as well. And no one reached out to say, hey, can I help you? As a matter of fact, they reached out to say, you owe for this, your mom owes for this.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, now that I look back, I'm like, shame on all of these adults, because we were just children.
Yeah.
And no one had the desire to be like, hey, looks like you're going through a hard time with your mom. Like, I'll just come over and hang with you even, like not even that we wanted. I would have never even accepted money, because I am a very proud person, which I'm trying to work on that, because it's not good to be like that. But I wouldn't even, So needless to say, now I have my husband, and I have, my in-laws, and I have like Diana, who was, I actually hired her to work with us, but like she has become my best friend, and I love her so much. And then Ruth and Kirsten, who, these women that I've hired become inevitably like family. And
they're definitely
like,
not help.
Yeah, that's right. If you heard a couple episodes ago, I was like,
they're not the help.
It's just a weird
way of putting it. Yeah.
Yeah. But like they are so incredibly helpful. So I could see how you would say, there are helpers. And I'm like, wait a minute, but yeah. But in any case.
Talking about support in the greatest segue ever, we always read our 5-star reviews, and we love you all for that
genuinely,
support.
Yeah, and we will not forget to read that. We just went off on a tangent because I had this dream, and Doug only just got back. He took the kids to school this morning, and so we had zero time talk this morning. And I just wanted to tell him about this dream, and then of course you get to hear too because we're here. But yes, honestly, we are so thankful for not for nothing. When I first discovered the power of and the beauty behind social media was when I needed support, because I still had none of that support. I was newly married to Doug, didn't know his family at all. They were very skeptical of me, and we lost our firstborn son, Jonathan. And so,
that's what really triggered.
That is what triggered me to have more of a meaningful, deep connection with quote unquote followers, of mine, because they would email me and just so much love and support was pouring into me. And I was like, wow, like,
there's a lot of things.
This whole Instagram thing, this whole podcast, like this was before the podcast, but like I had a blog at the time, and it's like the way that like strangers reached out to me to pour love into me and to pour hope into me. I was like, this is something like I want, and then it's like, I want to get to know them more, each and every single one of them, which then caused us to start this podcast.
As you're navigating through some of the toxic energy that also comes with social media, like you said, there's a lot of beauty in it. There's a lot of, there's a sense of community that you can build. And that's the great part about social media is community, and especially bringing up certain topics that are almost taboo to say out loud.
Yeah.
And, you find people saying, thank you for talking about this. Thank you for bringing this up. And, I can't tell you how many messages that I've seen, and I will get to the 5-star review. But how many messages I saw after we lost our son, Jonathan, by saying, I lost my baby, we had a miscarriage, or, whatever it was. They went through it alone because they weren't supposed to talk about it until some magical week when you could finally reveal that you're pregnant. And
turns out
that happened to a lot of people.
Yeah. And turns out there isn't a magical week, because I was in my second trimester and still lost him. So there isn't a magical week, and the pain, doesn't disappear if you're not in that second trimester, So I think that was really healing for me to see, for others, but also for others to see that, oh my gosh, like, I'm not the only one who went through this. And now it's, it's been 7 years, which is wild.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's really gotten, not everywhere, but I feel like it has become a little bit more acceptable to talk about, because us women need to support each other.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 1 in 4 pregnancies ends in a loss. And so if that's the true case, why are we hiding it and trying to just like be stoic and and just slap a smile on our face? Like, we're not robots, we're not machines.
Yeah. But I also think that when you start to talk about it, especially because you're sharing it within your community. So that just shows you the power of sharing, because I mean, you spend a lot of time on social media, and it's almost become the norm, and people are sharing, people are really gaining a lot from meaningful conversations and helping them with life and, in their own lives. But when you create that sense of community, that's the beauty of it.
Yeah. And I genuinely love the community that I have. Like, you listening right now, you are part of that community, and we are so thankful for you, truly, because it's like when you reach out and you, for example, write that 5-star review, and you just like, it's like we get to connect with you on a deeper level. And or like when you DM or comment, or, I did meetups as well. And I really want to get back to that. And we were, before COVID happened, we were going to bring this podcast on the road.
Yeah.
And then COVID happened. So,
well, this 5-star review comes from Jagles Bagels 124.
Hey, Jagles Bagels.
Do you want to read it?
Sure. I'm so very happy you guys came back to podcasting. I love how open and raw you are about marriage, parenting, and everyday life struggles through these things. It's so easy to make everything look like a fairy tale, but we all know there's no such thing. I'm so proud of Doug for sharing his journey with addiction with us. I am so proud of him too, J Bagels.
Thank you.
J Bagels. What was it? Jagles Bagels.
Jagles Bagels.
I'm proud of him too, Jagles Bagels. And I love when you have a different name like that, because then I'm reading your 5-star review. But back to it. So oh my gosh, this is sad. Whoa. I just lost my brother to addiction in late May, and listening to him open up about this topic on the podcast is reassuring that maybe it may save someone. I love how positive Jamie is and how amazingly well she advocates for all women. Together, you are such a power couple. Keep up the good work, trust and believe in God, and you both will get everything you deserve in life. So Doug obviously read this one and before I had a chance to, and that was like, oh, that just hit me hard.
Yeah. You don't realize how many people this is affecting. I mean, when they talk about an epidemic, it's an epidemic.
Yeah. It's really so sad.
And, at the time when I was heavy into opiates, there wasn't this fentanyl. Like it was easier to get these medications because they hadn't regulated it yet. And now you have no idea what you're taking. And that is so scary for any parent, any kid, but, addiction is a disease, and safety and health is not your first priority.
Yeah.
At that point. And, I think about all the times that I could have died, like legit just taking too much and not knowing what your limit is. Even in college, it's like you start to think that you're like a Superman. Like you could just get, and the horrible part of opiates is you build a tolerance so quickly that you have to take more and more and more. You know, and there was one time where my sister had to wake me up because she heard me like coughing in my sleep.
Really?
I don't know if I ever
You've
mentioned
never
this.
told me this.
Wow.
Doug, you
All right.
have not told me so many things. And we are like 9.5 years married, and I'm still learning.
How had I never brought this up?
I mean, you're so private about this, and it's like
This
feels
was
unfair
bad
to me, but it's not like your fault. But yeah. It can be overwhelming trying to find the right supplements to nourish your body and figure out what to take during and after pregnancy.
Well, Women's Complete Plan by Needed takes the guesswork out of all of that, from where to go and what to get.
Whether you're thinking, trying, or you are pregnant or postpartum, or even if you're deeper into your mom years, their 4-part bundle includes their prenatal multi, their omega-3 plus capsules, pregnancy-specific pre and probiotic with targeted strains to support mama and baby's microbiome, and their ethically and sustainably sourced collagen protein that blends easily into just about everything. It was founded by 2 moms who teamed up with a group of perinatal nutrition and health experts to redesign prenatal vitamins from the ground up. It's based on the latest clinical research and in-practice experience of testing thousands of mamas' nutrient levels to know exactly what women actually need.
And it's now recommended by nearly 4,000 doctors, midwives, doulas, and nutritionists.
Yeah, so check out thisisneeded.com and use code HMCP for 20% off your first order.
That's THISISNEEDED.com and use code HMCP for 20% off your first order.
Thisisneeded.com.
All right, back to it. Yeah, I mean, it truly goes to how people will hide. I mean, being ashamed of something for so long and not wanting to bring it up, it's really difficult. You want to black out a lot of the bad things that happened, because when I think about it, that's all I think about is the shame and how I disappointed people.
What happened with your sister?
So when there was one night, I don't really remember what happened, because I was kind of like blacked out.
So you were high on pain
Yeah, so I was back living with my parents. This was obviously before marriage, way before marriage.
How before marriage was this?
Like a week before our marriage. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, probably a year.
A year before marriage?
Yeah.
A year before marriage.
No, not a year. I'm sorry. Maybe 2 years before
Be honest,
marriage.
Doug.
I am because that's what started me on Suboxone like full time.
What happened?
My sister heard me coughing in my sleep and gurgling in my sleep. And she came in, and the time when I woke up to, I was sitting in the hallway with my, just in my underwear, and there was a cop and EMT there.
What?
Yeah. And I was unresponsive. I was like breathing. It was shallow breathing, from what they said, but I wasn't waking up. And my dad said he kept hitting me and trying to wake me up. And then finally I just came to.
Do you know you would probably be dead if you weren't with your family?
Yeah.
And no wonder why your sister has such anxiety.
Yeah. I know.
That is awful.
It was awful. It was absolutely awful. And the one part that sticks out in my head I mean, this is how quick it could go. But it still affects me.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I remember sitting in the back of the ambulance and the doors closing and me seeing my parents out the back window as we were driving away.
Oh my gosh. What were you thinking?
I was just thankful to be alive. How close that could have been to just not being here. I haven't thought about that in a while.
Yeah, I did not. I mean, 9.5 years married, and I did not even know the depth of it.
I can't believe that I never said that.
That's what I mean, though, is like you just like keep these things. And the problem is for you. Like, it's so freeing to just share that. Like, you're not responsible. Addiction is a disease, and it's awful. It destroys so many people,
That's
their
why
lives, their family.
It's so scary. It's terrifying for anybody out there now. Because it doesn't take much. And
Doesn't take much for what? To die?
yeah.
To overdose?
It doesn't take much. Taking the wrong thing or, sniffing something that you don't know what's in it. You're just, you're just trusting that
Your drug dealer?
Drug dealer is, yeah. I mean, these things don't get sold to you in prescription bottles.
Yeah.
That's, yeah.
So a year to 2 before we got married, that's what
Close
your
to
life
2
was
years.
like?
Yeah. And a lot of people don't make it past their wake-up call. A lot of people, unfortunately, their rock bottom is death, and they never get a chance to come out of it.
I'm so proud of you, Doug, because that just shows, especially on like the hindsight, oh golly, of like my parents and like just both of their drug addiction and the fact that my mom is still battling today, and my dad, I don't know what happened to my dad really.
It was complications from surgery.
Yeah. But like when you say that your family has saved you, like it is absolutely the truth because they never gave up on you. I mean, your sister saved your life that night and you haven't even told me this.
And my sister saved my brother's life.
No wonder why your sister is so anxious. I'm like, this poor girl, the things she's gone through.
Yeah. Yeah. She saw my youngest brother, Matt. She saw him from in the kitchen. She saw him climb up the side of the pool and fall in. And he was maybe 4 at the time, 3, 4. And my mom was talking to the neighbor and didn't see it. And my sister ran outside and said Matt just jumped in the pool. Yeah.
Well, I feel like out of all of our couples therapy, all of our marriage therapy, all of the work we did with the experts on Married at First Sight, and you never, ever, ever told me this. I feel like that just goes to show you didn't trust me, which makes me feel like, but I know that's not fair to say, and I'm not at all trying to say.
It's not a trust. I mean, you've been more than accommodating and patient with me. through this. And for someone that has, for someone that has a drug history, meaning how you were affected by drugs, and I mean, you haven't given up on me. And it's not a trust thing whatsoever, because I trust you wholeheartedly.
Then why didn't you tell me?
I don't know. I think there was a lot of things that I just tried to black out and just forget about and not say anything, because it's shameful and it's embarrassing, and something like that I just want to forget and just never even think about. And it's not a trust thing.
Wow, this went a whole different direction than. Well, I'm glad that you feel like you are safe enough and supported enough and loved enough to be able to share it.
Yeah, I can't thank you enough for how patient you've been and supportive through this. I wouldn't be where I am right now going through the process of coming off of Suboxone without you. Really.
I love you. And I feel like I really know that God put us together. Like, I knew before I met you that I was supposed to marry you. And I've never really shared that. But I had it in my heart, this feeling, when I was dating someone like a long time ago who was like begging for me back. And I knew he was jealous and manipulative and just kind of crazy. But like the comfort in me wanted to kind of like just stay with him because it was easy to be with him. But I was like, no, I just knew in my heart. I remember this vividly, standing in the trailer park and like knowing in my heart that I was supposed to marry someone else. And I just like never gave up on that, which is so wild. But like, I didn't want to say it because I'm scared of like the judgment from it, but I genuinely knew in my heart that I was supposed to get married on TV, which sounds so bizarre. And I know that I've told you that before, and I don't tell anybody that. And it's very vulnerable to share that on this, but like I just knew that. And like, in a lot of ways, I feel like you are my soulmate.
And I feel the same way.
And we weren't like, and it didn't happen magically. It's not like I was like, oh, like this is my Prince Charming. And, like everyone knows the story. We don't have to repeat it, but, and now just hearing about all that you've been through and like knowing you and loving you, and the fact that I would have never given you a chance if I had known all of this before.
I don't think you would have.
I absolutely wouldn't have. And no wonder why you wouldn't tell me, because I wouldn't have given you a chance. I made it very clear that drugs and addiction, I just didn't want anything to do with it, because I knew how devastating. I mean, it just like really wrecked my whole world apart. Like it really did, my whole entire family. So like, how could you blame me for not wanting that, But for some reason, now that I'm married to someone who has, I can't even believe that. Like, I am married to someone who had such an extensive history with it, who almost died from drugs, and it's been 9.5 years of marriage, and I don't even know that till today, because you never shared that with me.
And even leading up to being married, there was 2 or 3 people that as soon as the my history was shared, the relationship ended. And that just comes along with the addiction part, but it also drives people to not want to bring it up. And something as horrific as that, I genuinely want to forget it. I had it blocked out of my head for so long. but I wouldn't be here without you. I wouldn't be where I am and the man that I am today without you.
Well, I'll tell you something right now. I think it's God. I really do. Because even before I ever met you, I had a feeling in my heart that I was supposed to get married on television for some reason. And I really, you know that I loved the person, like not immediately before you, but I had this other love where I felt safe with and comfortable with. It was the first natural, normal relationship I've ever had. And it showed me that you can love someone and someone can love you with like no strings attached. And it doesn't have to be fighting and throwing furniture, or arguing and yelling and make-up sex and all that. Like, that's all I knew that love was until this other person showed me something else. But I still knew in my heart that he wasn't supposed to be the one. And I like let that go because I had this feeling in my heart. And like, I know we are meant to be together.
100%.
And that's why I just never gave up. And I don't know what I would have done if I had known all of this. Like, way back when I found that Suboxone wrapper, if I had known the extent of it, I don't know what I would have done, and the only reason I never said anything was because we were pregnant and I wanted to protect Henley. I didn't want Henley to know any of this about her dad or her mom. But I can tell you right now that I am so proud of you, Douglas Hehner. Like, I am genuinely so proud of you.
That means a lot.
I'm really so proud of you. And I'm proud that you're her daddy. You're the best father for my children.
Well, I mean, it's really because you're a great mom and wife. And
so proud of you, Douglas.
Well, thank you. Just thank you for everything. Thank you for being there, supporting me, giving me a safe place to share. I don't know if I would have ever shared any of this. And it just would have been eaten away at me more and more. But I love you more than anything in the world.
I'll always be a safe place for you. I really will.
And I do.
I will always love you and support you.
I didn't expect that.
Neither did I. We have to get our kids to the doctors. They have their checkups today. This was not... Wow.
I mean...
I have no idea.
It's a weird feeling when a weight is lifted off of you.
Do you feel like that?
Yeah.
I hope you know that nothing that you share with me could ever make me not love you, because I already love you. It is what it is. And I also already know that you've overcome all of that, Doug. You have overcome it. And you need to just love yourself and know that you are an incredible human being. You are so strong. And you are so determined.
That's been the hardest part.
What?
Just recognizing that it's just a part of my past.
And it doesn't mean that's what you are now.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's hard because people, like you were saying before, a couple
You just think about all the people that you've hurt, you've disappointed.
Well, I hope you know that you haven't hurt or disappoint me by any of that, because obviously that was before me. And you've done nothing but try to better yourself since I've known you. And from the beginning, and I feel like people didn't know our whole story, at all. All they saw was just what was on TV. But, from the beginning, you have grown immensely. I mean, and the fact that, we even stayed together, given that I knew that you didn't really have a solid job. I knew that you lived with your parents. I mean, that was never portrayed on television.
It was truly against all odds.
Yeah. And then just everything that we've been through. But I believe in my heart that God put us together. Like,
Yeah.
I genuinely believe that we are soulmates.
We're meant to be together.
Yeah, like I genuinely believe. And I don't necessarily even know why.
Yeah.
I don't even know why. But like, we were meant to be together. And like, we've never given up on each other. And it's not like it's always been hunky-dory. It's almost like never been hunky-dory.
We don't know what hunky-dory is.
Yeah, we really don't know what that is. But maybe from here on out, we start to discover it.
Yeah. I really got to go.
I know we got to go get our kids. But I wish I could just hug you and love you.
You can. I got a fertility specialist appointment, though.
Oh, yeah, you have that fertility specialist? Is that today?
No, tomorrow.
Oh, jeez, Louise.
Oh, no. No.
I'm like, wait a minute. Did we double book?
That's tomorrow. But no, I just don't want you to get any thoughts in your head.
Because you have to stay
Because I have
abstinent.
I have to give a semen sample tomorrow.
That's
Is it
great.
semen or sperm? I guess it's the same thing.
That is the same thing.
All right. Well, thank you, Jagels Bagels.
Whoa, Jagels Bagels.
Wow.
That all came from your 5-star review. So I wish I knew who you were so I could hug you, because
Yeah. Well,
that was like really meaningful to me, Doug.
truly every one of your comments, even after the initial revelation, has just, it's made me feel better. It's made me have a better outlook on life and sharing, and realizing that you're not the only person that has gone through something.
I feel like it's helped us become closer immensely. I mean, today, like, I cannot thank this Jagels Bagels enough, because it prompted you to open up and trust me. And I'm genuinely so thankful for that. Because the biggest thing that we've been missing in our marriage through all of this, you know, for those of you who've been following, you know that we were in like severe therapy for so long.
Yeah.
Because we were trying to stay married, but we were just having such struggles. And the biggest thing was that I'm like, connect with me, not just sexually, not by physical touch, like in my bones, like in our soul. And I felt like there was just bars on you, and I couldn't ever like break through. And like your family wouldn't help me, your friends wouldn't help me. No, I did nothing I could do. And I was just sitting there on the outside, constantly looking in at my husband. Like, I don't even know why he's not letting me in. And I'm like, what can I do differently? I don't even know.
Yeah. I mean, when the longer you go without opening up to anybody, it's becomes so much harder to share with anybody and to trust anybody that you're going to be talking to be able to receive that information without any judgment, without, any resentment, without anything. And I think that's the fear and the anxiety that people have of being closed off to the world.
Yeah. Well,
I'm going to go get the kids, and then
okay.
you want to end up saying goodbye.
Yeah, I'll say goodbye. Wow. I don't even know like where to begin, because that was a lot. And I can't even believe I can't even believe that I've been married this long, and I just never knew the extent of it. But of course, why would he ever even feel comfortable? Because A, his girlfriends sounded like left him afterwards, and then B, I was always like, drugs are so bad, and I will never deal with it because of my mom. And like, I just feel like that is like awful. So of course he didn't feel safe to talk to me, because I was already so judgmental about it because of everything that I experienced with my mom. Which just goes to show that, like, we genuinely need to be you know, myself, obviously, but I feel like all of us as society need to be way more loving and understanding. And I wonder if like a part of me was supposed to be married to Doug because it will help me like love and forgive my mom, because I know how strong my husband was and how much support he had from his family and his friends to help him break from that habit, you know. But my mom, genuinely, like, her most supportive people are her drug addict friends. At least that's what she feels like. And so, of course, that's why she keeps going that way. And, like, that really breaks my heart. And it's the strangest thing, because, like, as it breaks my heart, it makes me want to, like, reach out to her and love her more. But I feel like I can't, because how can I let my kids be around that, you know? So, it's just so complicated. Oh boy, we had like, you know, a whole different topic for this podcast. I was actually going to share like just our fertility update, just like where we're at with the fertility doctor. Then, you know, how Doug is on his 3rd shot coming off of the Suboxone, so he will be like free from you know, from needing that. And then the last thing, I mean, we have like the list right here of just like where we're at with renovating our new house, and like I just bought wallpaper for Hendrix and things like that. But then like truly this 5-star review, when I say that I feel like I'm connected somehow to this community of amazing women and some men. Because sometimes the men will be like, hey, I'm a man and I'm here too. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. But it's primarily women that have just really loved on us and supported us since day one. And in a lot of ways, I feel like that's my family. Because in a lot of ways, I felt like I didn't have family. I can't tell you how meaningful it is that you connect with us and support us, because in a very odd way, like, you help bring us together. Like your 5-star review, which we always just share about at the top of the episode. But this one, Jangles Bagels 124. Oh gosh, like, thank you so much for opening up a little bit about yourself and your brother, because then that caused my husband to open up to me about probably one of the most traumatic experiences he's had in his life. And we've been married for almost 10 years and he never felt comfortable enough or safe enough, or he just wanted to block it out, as he says. But honestly, I take that as he didn't feel comfortable or safe enough, which really breaks my heart, because I'm his wife and he should feel comfortable and safe with me. Oh man. Oh, and it's just wild because we've been in therapy and we've had some heated discussions. I mean, I feel like our therapist, she would be like so like proud, which sounds so bizarre, but because I feel like it's been difficult trying to get my husband to open up. But anyways, I don't even know how to end this podcast episode, because I'm just like really feeling my feelings. But anyways, I'm going to just go with thanking you, all of you who have been watching and supporting us and loving us and praying for us and sending positive vibes out for us, because it is not lost on us how supportive and loving you've been over the last 10 years almost. And truly, I just cannot thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here for us, even if it seems like we're disconnected because it's only over like the internet or in your earbuds if you're listening on the podcast, or like on video via YouTube or something, or on the TV, I suppose. But I genuinely feel connected to you, oddly. Like, and when I meet with you, like yesterday I went shopping and the cashier was like, Jamie, no way, it's you. And, you know, and I look like a hot mess. I mean, I just have been renovating this house and like also feeling very emotional with this fertility journey that we're on that I haven't really opened up a lot about because I'm just feeling so vulnerable and kind of weak from it, to be very honest. But this lady who's been following and watching, and the way she like hugged me and like I felt like her love, and I was like, wow, like a complete stranger, but yet she loves me. And I was like, geez, like, and so of course, she didn't have her phone because of course she's working. So I took a picture and I emailed it to her, and then her message back to me. And I'm genuinely so thankful. I mean, because my morning, I've just been feeling sort of off with this fertility journey and whatnot. And then just so much is going on with the house and our kids and then my husband and, and so it's almost like I needed that nice big warm hug from a stranger who I oddly felt like I somewhat knew because she felt like she knew me. And that's where, it starts to get strange though, because like you got to have a boundary because not everyone can feel like they're that close to you. But when I run into you and, that happens, it feels just as good for me as it does for you. So thank you so much for being like here and rooting us on and being part of like our family. I mean, that sounds so weird, but our internet family, I guess, because I do think I should separate the two. I don't want my children, it's not safe for them to think that these are like, because my daughter does go, she knows what Married at First Sight is now because people will say Jamie and Doug from Married at First Sight. And she goes, Married at First Sight, what is Married at First Sight? So that's just a whole other complicated thing because we're just normal people, obviously, and not necessarily used to that and how to navigate that with children. But I am rambling on now, but these are just like the real thoughts in my head and in my heart. And anyways, just wanted to thank you though, because truly like your love and support means the whole wide world to us. Like even her name was Kathy yesterday, and I was at a Burlington coat factory, and I was looking for, just like back to school stuff for my kids. And she just like the love that she gave me yesterday, even though she was so excited to meet me, but like that love that she gave me and those hugs, I hugged her like 3 times. I mean, it really meant a lot to me. And then obviously Jangles Bangles 124, this comment meant a whole lot to me too. So one last thing that I wanted to say, and I feel like we should have said right from the beginning, I just wanted to say I'm so incredibly sorry about your brother who died from addiction in May, because my gosh, how painful that must be. And immediately, of course, I went to like my husband telling me his story about how he almost died, and I just went on to that topic. But Jingles Bangles, I am so sorry that your brother died from addiction. I am so sorry about that. I can't imagine the pain that you're going through. And I'm sure it's confusing, because it's very confusing when you're the sober person and then someone you love is using or has used, but to lose that person in the midst of that battle, I can't imagine. And so I just wanted to tell you from the bottom of my heart, I am so sorry for your loss. I'm so sorry. I can't imagine. And I didn't want to end this podcast without telling you how sorry I am, because, it's easy for us as human beings to just then internalize and kind of, think about our own, like what's going on with us. But we can't forget to love on other people and the things that they've been through. And in any case, I just really wanted to tell you that I'm sorry, and that I hope that you are hearing this and seeing this, because I'm sure I can tell by your message that you're also a very positive, you're trying to think of the positive and being uplifting and bright and whatnot, but I can only imagine the struggle that you're going through privately. And that's okay. You don't have to do it, but anyways, I just want you to know that you are loved, and that I'm sure your brother is so proud of you as a sister and looking down and thankful that you even remember him enough to, to just consistently keep his memory alive. So anyways, I just wanted to make sure that you know, Jangles Mangles, that you know, that your message really meant an awful lot to us, that I guess it's a 5-star review, but just the comment that you made really meant a lot to us, in that I will be thinking of you and your family and praying for you tonight. So anyways, yeah, I just didn't want to let this podcast end without saying that. Thank you for loving us and supporting us. And I hope you know that it doesn't go unnoticed. And I know there are some people that say, you never see my DMs, you never respond to me. I try so hard to respond to as many as I possibly can, because it is not lost on me that we are so fortunate to have this loving community. So thank you. And until next week, we will see you again. I don't even know how to end this. I'm so in my emotions right now, but I love you. And I'll see you. We'll be back next week with another episode. Have a good week.